Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Today I want to talk about tool walls, and in particular, tool wallology. Tool wallology. It's the study of tool walls. Now, tool walls are not everything you might think they are. I've seen a lot of tool walls out there, and sometimes I really have to laugh when I see them. One of my favorites is probably when the guy puts up a 4x8 sheet of plywood on the wall, hangs all his tools up on that one spot, says, "Hey, I got all my tools up on the wall. I got a tool wall." All I can say is, that ain't enough. If I put up a 4x8 sheet and try to put all my tools in that one wall, I'd have a real problem. The wall would probably come crashing down trying to pile everything up on there. So, anyway, tool walls are very handy, but I have lots of tool walls. Not only that, I have lots of hand tools, but I have repeat hand tools, and this is how I use tool walls. I don't necessarily do all my work in one spot. I work at different locations, kind of like little mini stations, depending on what I'm doing, and quite honestly, sometimes where I have a clear spot, but that's another story. Anyway, so tool walls are actually important, but they come in all shapes and sizes. First off, let's talk about what isn't a tool wall. This is not a tool wall. I don't care if you laid your tools all nice and neat out on top of a flat surface horizontal. That is not a tool wall. I know, you say, well, there. Now it's a tool wall. No, that's not a tool wall. That's a workbench. So, tool wall is vertical. Or is it? I'm going to disprove that one too, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, tool walls are a place where you want to put all your tools. But most people think that, okay, I got a place, I got a tool goes there, and that's where it always is. But see, that's another thing that I do different too. Not all my tools have one home on a tool wall. Because I have multiple tool walls, I also have multiple places where I can put tools. Also, a tool wall. Most people put their tools, all the same kind of tools, in one spot. I don't do that either. I have quite a few saws, but then I put some saws over there, I put some saws over here, some saws over here. I have saws in different places. Screwdrivers, another good example. I don't have one set of screwdrivers. So I don't have one set of chisels. So I have them spread out on all these different tool walls. And that's kind of how I work, because that way I can go grab a tool. And I don't have a favorite tool, as a generally speaking. I can grab a tool and really make something work. I want to saw a board straight. I can grab a Western saw. I can grab a Japanese saw. Heck, sometimes I even grab my hacksaw and cut that. It just depends on what I'm cutting and how much cutting I got to do. But I can cut a good straight line with any of them, because it's not the tool. I focus on what I'm doing when I'm using that tool, and that makes me do the job and make it come out right, no matter what tool I'm using. So, to me, my problem is that I don't like to have tools inside of drawers or inside of cabinets. I really like to have them out where I can see them, because sometimes I go, for lack of a better term, I go window shopping for my tool. And that is that sometimes I say, well, I got to have this particular tool or this particular pair of pliers. Because pliers. I have pliers everywhere and all different pliers. But sometimes you get into a little situation where I can grab any pair of pliers and make it work. But once in a while you go, that needs to have the right pair of pliers so that I don't keep slipping. I'm starting to slip. Let's go get the right pair and let's get this off of there. And I'll go get my favorite pair that does that particular thing and make it work. And then I can make it and go get those. So and then I go looking, and I actually know which tool wall it's on and everything. I do know most of the time exactly where all my tools are. So I have tools at different places. I have homes for the same tool sometimes. My calipers, here's one of my tool walls that I use a lot. I sit here or stand here at my workbench at this location mostly. I can work anywhere around my workbench, but right here where you see a lot of my filming, this is where I'm at. I can sit here or I can stand here and work comfortably, and this tool wall is right behind me has a lot of my stuff, just basic tools that I would use. So I have the razor knife, I have a set of inexpensive bits, all sorts of little things that I find myself needing. And it's not like they're my favorite tools. I just know I have a set of this, and so if I'm looking for something in particular, I can go there. If I need a brad point bit, then I go to my drill press, wherever the heck it is. I can go to my drill press and get my brad bits out instead and grab and use that. But a lot of times if I'm drilling, I'll use a punch to start a hole to have a dimple for where I can start that drill bit. So then these drill bits will do just as good as a brad drill bit will in that case. So my tools, you never know how I'm going to use a tool or what. I've been known to use a pair of pliers as a hammer once or twice in my life too. So I know there are those out there that would just as soon slap me as look at me when they hear me say that. But I have to tell you, I am abusive of tools. I used to be a mechanic. That's how I started off. Now, as a mechanic, tool walls are no good. You want to put all your tools in a chest instead. But that was a multitude of reasons why that is, and because it's a different work environment. But when you have tool walls, there is some science to it, believe it or not. So let me ask you, do you have more than one tool wall? Do you have all your same tools on one tool wall and all your tools that you use another kind on another wall? Or do you kind of mix them up? Mine's a potpourri. Each wall is kind of a semi-repeat of what this wall is, but that way I can use a tool over there instead of walking over here to get it. So how do you do that? What is your strategy? We're going to take a quick trip. I'm going to show you some of my tool walls so you can get an idea of what I'm calling a tool wall and how they all are different, but they're similar. The tool walls can be hanging. I got one on a rail system overhead. I got a tool wall that way. I got some on some pull-out walls from over there in that corner. I have tool walls on my cabinet. This is a cabinet that I have that has all my power hand tools in here, my routers and my Ryobi tools and all that. And in fact, when I built the doors on it, I wanted to put my tools on the outside. I have a tool wall over here, and I have a tool wall on the back. And technically, I have tool walls inside, even though I don't call the tool walls inside tool walls, really. But that's another story. I think a tool wall has to be out in plain sight for it to be a true tool wall. But I do have an upside down tool wall too. Check this out. Right here. That's all my tools are hanging down. So what do you call that? I would call that an upside down tool wall. So tool walls don't have to be vertical either to me. But I have lots of different tools, a lot of the same tools at different places. And you say, well, why do you have so many tools? Well, because I can. So anyway, tool walls are really kind of cool to have around. But let's do this. Why don't we go for a quick walk? I'll walk and carry you. I know you don't want to get up. So just hold on. Let's go take a quick look at some of my tool walls. I believe I have at least 9 that I can show you. 1. Right here on this cabinet, I have a tool wall. And 2, this is a tool wall here with all sorts of tools. And if you go around back, this cabinet rolls all over really, but I have lots of tools back here also. I have tools. So tool walls can be everywhere. That's 3. Well, there's my overhead one. That's 4, and it's right here by this workbench area. Then I have a tool wall here that pulls out. That has all my saws on it. I would call that a tool wall, right? And if we walk over here past the window and the overhead door, oh, we got a mess here. I've just been working on my wiring diagram on this. This is that Ryobi power battery pack. and I'm going to redo it completely, and this time I'm going to do it right with all the fuses and everything, all good connectors, and I'm going to make a slightly different style so I can hook up to 6 batteries on it, and it'll run on a 25 amp circuit. So anyway, that's technical. We'll talk about that later. So if we go past my table saw, and now we're right here at the overhead, the upside down tool wall. Look at right here. There's my TV. Okay. And on the other side, I got a tool wall. And I have a tool wall here. So, and I have a tool wall here above my Legacy. You don't want to see my Legacy. It's a mess. So anyway, and if we go on through here, past the TV, back to where I usually sit, right here, there's the first tool wall we looked at. And then around on this side, which is to my right when I'm sitting at my desk, is that cabinet that I bought. That's a story in itself with that tool wall on the end. But when I made this cabinet, I made sure I had tool walls on both sides. So there's another tool wall. So I'd have to go back and count. But I'd say that's probably pretty close to 9 tool walls. They all have different tools. And like I say, some of it's repeat tools. Some of it does have all the one kind of tool in there. Right here, I have all my shaving, my spoke shaves, and my different shaving, carving tools that I use. I keep them all right here. Also on this side, that's where I keep, as you saw, a lot of my pliers and that, my wire cutters and snippers. And I also have 2 saws over here. So not all my saws are over there. Because sometimes I'm here, so I just grab that saw and use it. So, rather than having to walk across the shop all the time, I would rather sometimes just grab the tool that's closer that does the same job. So that's why I have multiple tool walls, and that's why I also have multiple repeats of different tools. So I do hoard tools. I live by one rule, really. If you want to give me a tool, offer me a free tool, I will always take it, even if I don't need it. I don't know why. I just always will. And then I have to find a place to put it somewhere on one of my walls. It doesn't have to be with all the other rulers and all the other drill bits and all that. I don't really organize in that way. I like to have a potpourri of stuff on one spot so that whatever I need, I can find it on this tool wall if I walk over here. If I know that I don't happen to have a saw at this tool wall, I'll walk to the next closest tool wall so I don't still have to walk too far away. So that's why I spread things out like that. It seems disorganized, but actually I know where everything is pretty much, unless I start moving it around after years of it being in one spot. And sometimes that can be frustrating because I do move my stuff around a lot too in here from different places. And for that reason, I am always having to revamp my brain as to where I go find stuff. I'll have a cabinet that used to be here, well, just like the drill press. The cabinet used to be here is now over here, so I go look for the tool on that cabinet, and I get halfway here and go, oh, no, I moved the cabinet. So I have to decide, where's that cabinet, and go find it. So sometimes it's disruptive, but moreover than not, I like to be able to have a tool close to me no matter where in the shop I am. And that's why my tool walls are different than most people's tool walls. I have lots of them. I have lots of repeatable tools. And check this out. I keep all 3 of my calipers, dial calipers, right here. I have a digital, I have a fractional, and I have a regular dial, 10 in thousandths of an inch. So, but sometimes I have this out for a while. I'm using it a lot on a project, and I can actually take it and I can move it over to this tool wall, and I can do it with any of them, and I can put it here so that if I look there and I don't see that my that particular tool and that's what I'm looking for, and it's not where it's supposed to be over here, then I know it's in its second home. So sometimes my tools actually have more than one home. And sometimes, yes, I do have to look. Most of the time I can see them. And that's the idea, is that I can look and I can see anywhere in the shop most of the time, or with one step sideways, I can see if that's where the tool is. So you can call it disorganized. It's the way I work. But to me, tool walls are multiple, and there is no true definition. There is only a non-definition. So don't try to turn your workbench into a tool wall and try to sell that to me, because I ain't buying. But tool walls, they can be everywhere. Anyway, Toolology. I hope you liked my little video here. If you have any comments, any ideas, tell me how many tool walls you got and how many tools you got on your tool walls. I'd love to hear any stories you got. Any ideas, any suggestions, just leave them in the comments. If you like this video, or if you learned something here, hit that like button. It lets me know I'm doing the right thing. Most importantly, though, as the sign still says, I'm nowhere near done. Thanks. And you come back again, okay? We'll see you soon. Bye.